Here's what I suggest. In your mind, put out a piece of paper, use your imagination, and then in words, write down what's happening. Hey, welcome back to Uncivilized Rebirth. You are my mission. Today I was going to talk about the character trigger, talk about building it out, the different aspects and different parts that go together on it, and how it works. And then I just kind of had a change of direction. I wanted to talk about emotional validation and our internal world. When I was about 32, I learned about emotional validation. I had never, ever in my life learned about what my emotions were or what they meant or what to do with them. I just knew that I would just get built up over long periods of time and then I'd blow up with all this anger. And I didn't address each issue, as in looking at things that happen, looking at myself internally and saying, oh man, it's okay to get mad. Most other people would get mad in this circumstance. But what do I do with this mad? Why did this person want to make me mad? What should I do next? Because I learned a lot of times people made me mad so I would blow up and so I would lose my cool because then they could get me in trouble or manipulate me. And it's a cruel thing, but a lot of people do that. And I grew up in a family where, and then I married into a family that's what they did. They would pick, and do horrible things, invalidate. And then when you blew up, they'd look at and be like, oh, look at this person. So if you're in a situation where there are these people that are just subtly picking at you and subtly trying to get you mad, knowing that it'll build up over time and then you'll eventually blow up, just realize that it's designed that way. There are cruel, horrible people in this world. And I came from a family like that. Cruel and horrible. Just terrible. And from the outside, they're these great, awesome Christians. And there's all these stories that I've seen and heard of other people who grow up in these just horrendous families where they pick a scapegoat. They have the black sheep. And everybody picks on this person and just treats them like trash. And then when this person blows up, they're like, oh, see, it's you. You're the bad person. You're not close enough to Jesus. You're not praying enough. When in reality, they consistently did all these things that added up. So we have to look at ourselves and be like, oh, well, what do I do with these emotions? Like, what does validating my emotions mean? How do I address this? So emotions are an energy basically with a setting or a certain vibration or frequency and intensity also. So it's like sadness, happy, joy, elation, anger, frustration, irritation. It's like there's two sides of it and each one's like at a different level kind of. And then a lot of times what people are wanting to do is get the super angry so they can manipulate. Okay, so let's get back into like evaluating, identifying our emotions, and deciding what to do. Because let's say we're in a situation where we're getting picked at, then all of a sudden we blow up. Well, how do we avoid that? Well, we have to address each individual situation on our own. And so follow me on this. Let's say you're a teenager at school and this bully's picking on you and they're just waiting for you to blow up. Or in the military, because I was in the military and I had a-holes. Like this one guy, they would do things and finally they were lighting my toe on fire when I was asleep. And I jump up to attack him and everybody acts like I was the bad guy. They're like, whoa, you need to stop. What are you doing? Calm down. Well, he was just burning my toe with a lighter. But I'm the bad guy now because I want to stand up for myself. It's wrong, but that's the way the world works. There's some messed up people in it. So we have to take each situation. Let's say we're getting picked on at school and somebody's being mean. And instead of just ignoring it and just being frustrating, be like, oh, then what will most likely happen is that memory now has this like vibration and frequency of frustration that's floating around free in our mind. And then it goes and connects to our creativity because we start thinking about, I should have said this, I should have said that. Well, I'll do this next time, or I'll do that. So now there's just this turmoil going on of like unjust, feeling like we're not heard, we're not seen, we're getting treated poorly, and you know they're going to do it again, and just like building up, till finally they poke at you and it's like, you get mad. But it's just human nature. For years and years, people have studied people. Like they have this down to a fine, fine art. There are groups of people who have this art that they tell other people and they keep within their circle of specifically how to irritate the piss out of a human. It's like a psyop, but it's like secret. It's like just a terrible thing to do. So here's what I do. You have an instance where somebody does some BS and you know it, they know it, but they're not going to admit it. And if you say anything, they've set the circumstance up where you're going to look bad. It's just wicked all around. And I have been through the family justice system or the family court system, which sets up those exact situations where they falsely accuse you of things. And then if you do anything while you're trying to prove your innocence because you're guilty first, they're going to say, oh, look, we were right. So it's just like a huge gaslight from the get-go. So wrap it back up. Not wrap it back up, but take it back to the point where the first person is like irritating you and you know it. Here's what I suggest. In your mind, put out a piece of paper, use your imagination, and then in words, write down what's happening. This is frustrating. This person is annoying me, and I know they're doing this to try to get me angry. But any normal person would get angry at this, and it's okay for me to feel angry. And you visualize writing it out. So now what you're doing is you're taking that memory that is like this three-dimensional encoding of you see the person, you're hearing their words, and you're feeling these emotions, and there's a big coding in this memory, or a lot of coding. So when you take it and imagine this memory being transformed into words, the next time you access this memory, it's like opening a book up and reading it versus stepping into a theater and playing that scene with these loud blasting speakers and this on the big screen, because in your mind, you see it all. So it's like overwhelming your senses again and you feel those emotions again. But when you imagine writing it down, you can easily separate the emotions. You can validate your emotions. And when you write it down in your imagination, you have the composure of thinking, I am not going to react. I'm going to make it through this situation, and this is how I'm going to conduct myself. And that's like what you feel is your identity. And as you write it down and you finish, you imagine it's a book being closed, and then you imagine putting it on a bookshelf. And so in real time, what you're doing is you're taking this memory with a lot of layers of coding, and you're boiling it down to something simple. You're taking the coding of, like, let's say a Blu-ray DVD, and you're bringing it down just to a book level, just of wording. So instead of having all the imagery, all the emotions and the sound, it's just little words on the paper. And you have taken that memory and you have brought it down to just a simple little book to file away in your mind. And your mind is able to file it away immediately. And your short term processes it, and your long term processes it, and it's accessed and it's put away. Then what happens is the next time you see this person, it's like a brand new event. You're like, oh, they're doing it again. I'm going to go in my mind. I'm going to take the memory and I'm going to write it down, evaluate my emotions, validate my emotions, write down what happened, and then close that book up and put it away. And then what you're doing in real time is you're taking these memories that could be bouncing around, taking up your very important creativity center, and then also activating emotions that you don't want activated, and you're taking it and you're filing it away so it doesn't pop out on its own. So if you're going through some really, really tough times, because I know The last 4 years have been just horrendous for me, with people just messing with me. Just in general, like the family system, law enforcement. I've been lied about. I made a 2 ounce red Solo cup firework, um, and it was turned into like I was some just person making all these BOMBs when I was like just a little bitty thing. Even the judge agreed with me in the end. It was like nothing. So, but during all this time, if I had ever blown up or lashed out, they'd be like, "Oh, look, he's unstable and he's wild, and he's like can't handle it." It's just like my family. Still, like they did some terrible things to me as a child, and when I came forward and said something and got mad about it, they started calling me unstable. And they're like, "Well, when you're more stable, you can come back around." And I realized like these people that are gonna abuse a child, they're definitely gonna manipulate and help ruin an adult's life so their secrets will be kept safe. But that's what they were doing. They were trying to gaslight me. And every time I got angry, they were able to take that and be like, "Oh, look, you're bad. You're unhinged. You're um, unstable." But it's like, here I am, 42 years later, still here. Um, and so if you're going through that, and I know people go through this stuff, if you're going through the family legal system and you're a man, or you're at work and you're having people just mess with you, or I know in the military it can be done too, they'll do it, or in school. There's all these different settings where if you're a person of a certain nature, people are going to naturally pick on you. And I think they're empaths and people with a kind heart. That naturally happens. It's just a weird thing. Um, but maybe they just have no empathy of realizing this is another person, another soul, and the creator's watching. I should be kinder. But if you're going through situations like this where you're constantly, consistently being harassed, like very subtly, try going in your mind and writing it out as a story. And when you do that, you take all of that coding and you just simplify it. And your mind is able to store those memories. Because let's say each time it takes them 10 times, they know that 10 times there's going to be like 10 memories bouncing around in there that are just create chaos and anger. And eventually you're just going to bust forth and get mad, which is natural. But they're trying to do that. So if you're tracking on this or following, just try it. What's it going to hurt? Like maybe 5-10 minutes of your time, a focused time, like just focused. You can write it down. And here's what happens eventually. When those things happen, your brain automatically starts writing it out, what happened, and then files it away. And so you start being able to process these events in real time. I hope that helps. You are my mission. Like, I want to help other people navigate life. And I know that there are family systems, there are corrupt groups of people. And the thing is, like, they have hearts also, and they have souls also. And at one point in time, they were little awesome kids, but they got hurt along the way. So we have to hope and pray for them, for their like basically spiritual awakening. I'm gonna wrap it up. I hope this helped. I hope you found some of this applicable. If not, ignore it. Either way, Roadhouse, spiritual heart. I'm in the video now.